everybody to our ordinary monthly meeting for February and basically our first meeting of this council. So welcome councillors and staff to our first meeting. Firstly, please be advised that this council meeting is being recorded. By speaking at this meeting, you agree to being recorded. Please ensure that if and when you speak, you are respectful to others and use appropriate language at all times. Combined Council accepts no liability for any defamatory or offensive remarks or gestures made during the course of this meeting. The recording of this meeting will be made publicly available on Council's website. I'll call the first item, application for leave of absence. Could I have somebody move that, please? By Councillor Oldham, seconded by Councillor Nash. And we have no application for leave of absence, so I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That is carried. Item 2 is declarations of interest. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Weaver, seconded by Councillor Rawson. And I have 2 so far, one from Councillor Batten for items 21 and 24, page 32 and 37. And Councillor Poole, item 23, page 35 of business papers. And both will leave the room during those items. Does anybody else have anything to declarations of interest? Nothing? I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 3 is declarations for political donations. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Oldham, seconded by Councillor Jones. Anything to declare? I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 4 is the Merrill Minute of Appointments, which I will move, and I've tabled a report as to my movements for the month. Does anybody else have anything for the Merrill Minutes? Don't forget to push your button. Councillor Weaver.
Yes, Mr Mayor. I guess everybody had a successful Australia Day, that Canowindra was successful, and I'd just like to make the point of the Canowindra Lions Club made a special presentation to McDonald House, Ronald McDonald House in Orange, for $6,000, which I think is a magnificent amount of money for a small community to donate. We have children in our community who have attended hospital, and their parents have attended Ronald McDonald House, which is a godsend at times when your children aren't well. But as far as the donation went, $3,000 of that came from Driver Reviver, and the Lions Club matched it dollar for dollar, which I think's a very impressive thing for a small community. And I'd just like that acknowledged. Thank you.
You're well said. Anybody else have anything? Councillor Wilson.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yes, well, like everybody, attended a number of Australia Day events, so Mullion Creek, Nashdale, Canowindra and Manildra, which were all very successful, wonderful days. Good to talk to the community and to appreciate the hard work that was done by all of the award recipients. I've also been, of course, attending, like many of the councillors, attending the community meetings each evening last week and this week. And I'd just like to make a quick comment of thanks to the staff for attending and for answering some pretty sticky questions from the community. So that's been excellent. I think we all appreciate the engagement that's been occurring. And just lastly, I attended the board. I'm now on the board of the Central Tablelands Water. It had its first board meeting recently, and I am now the deputy chair of Central Tablelands Water. And I guess Marlene can talk about it as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wilson, and congratulations on your appointment. That'll be very good for Cabal. Anybody else have anything for Merrill? Councillor Jones.
If I could just table the report. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you for that. Thanks, Councillor Nash. Anybody else have anything? No? All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 5 is Committee of the Whole. Could I have somebody move that, please? Moved by Councillor Weaver, seconded by Councillor Nash. Does anybody have anything for Committee of the Whole? 21 and 26. How's that?
I think 8, 13 and 14, Mr Mayor, the committees.
(31).
31. Anything else? Nothing further? I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 6 is the confirmation of the minutes. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Nash, seconded by Councillor Weaver. Is there any opposition? Does anybody want to speak against the minutes? No? All right. All right. I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 7, Audit and Risk Improvement Committee meeting minutes and 2021 annual report. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Nash, seconded by Councillor Rawson. Anybody wish to speak against that, or any discussion on that? Everybody's happy? I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 8 is in Committee of the Whole. Item 9 is Australia Day Awards Committee. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Oldham, seconded by Councillor Jones. Anybody wish to speak against that at all? Any discussion? No? All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 10, General Manager's Performance Review Panel. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Oldham, seconded by Councillor Batten. We need to, as the recommendation says, establish the panel, so I'll probably call for nominations. I just got a clarification here. Will we ask for 2 councillors? Actually, I meant to ask you this before. Isn't it 1 councillor and you nominate them?
Yeah, so that council nominates, if council nominates for representative.
Says there 2. It says 2 in the report. It says 2 from us, but it's only 1 from us. Yeah. So as that reads there, the council established 4 councillors performance review panel comprising of the mayor, deputy and 2 other councillors for the purpose. So that's a total panel of 4, but the general manager has to choose one, so we're only choosing another councillor. That's my understanding. So the mayor and the deputy automatically go on, so we have to choose another councillor, and then the general manager will choose his rep from the councillors. Everybody clear with that? Well, I think it's just a wording. I'm just happy to, if everybody else is there, just to reword that as 1 other councillor for the panel of 4. Yeah? Happy with that? Who moved that? Yeah. You happy with that? Yeah. Maybe you're happy with that? All right, so I'll probably call for nominations for to go on the panel.
Through you, Mr Mayor, I'd like to nominate Jen Weaver, Councillor Weaver, if she would take the position.
Anybody else wish to nominate? No? Happy with that? You happy to accept that, Councillor Weaver? All right, Well, that's the case. We'll put that. It's Mayor, the Deputy and Councillor Weaver, and you'll choose one and we'll endorse that later. Oh, you have to choose now? Yeah, all right.
So councillors, I'll nominate Councillor Rawson, if he's willing to participate in that process.
I'm happy to do so. Yes.
All right, so the panel consists of Mayor, Deputy, Councillor Weaver and Councillor Rawson. All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 11 is advisory committees of council. Could I have a mover of that, please? Moved by Councillor Jones, seconded by Councillor Nash. Anybody wish to speak against that at all? Any discussion at all? All right, put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. So is it? Oh, sorry, I've dropped that. But I'll take back that put then. Oh yeah, sorry, appointed members, item 2, age officers. All right, so we'll go backwards. So appoint councillors to, a councillor to the Age Officers Museum. Anybody wish to? All right, nomination from Councillor Weaver. Oh, we've had one nomination from Councillor Weaver. Yep, so you can go an alternate person if Councillor Weaver's not available. Yep. Everybody happy with that? Yep. So I'll put it all at the end, so the Cavon Pools. So does anybody wish to nominate for the Cavon Pools Committee? I'll nominate the Mayor's on, but as an alternate.
No, sorry, isn't, we got to pick a councillor and then one alternate, so I'll nominate Councillor Nash, please.
Yep. Happy with that, Councillor Nash? Another alternate?
I'll nominate Councillor Paul, if that's all right, please.
You happy with that, Councillor Paul? Yep. So we've got Councillor Nash and an alternate being Councillor Paul. Everybody okay with that? Oh, I haven't put it yet, I was asking you okay with that. And the Molong Floodplain Management Advisory Committee.
I'd like to nominate for
Mayor,
that.
one councillor and one alternate.
I'd like to nominate for that.
Councillor Oldham wishes to nominate on that. Anybody wish to nominate as an alternate? Happy with that, Councillor Jones? Yeah. All right. So that's that. I will now put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 12 is delegates to other organisers joint regional planning panel for the year 2022-23. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Weaver, seconded by Councillor Poole. All right, now. So we got to get some delegates. Who would like to nominate for that?
Are you going to go one at a time? We're starting with Manildra?
Sorry?
Are we starting with Manildra and working through?
No, wrong one. This is one that yeah, joint regional planning panel. Councillor Batten was nominated. Are you happy with that, Councillor Batten? Yeah. And we need an alternate. Councillor Nash, happy? Yep. So that's all we need for that. So I will put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 13 is in committee of the whole. Item 14 is in committee of the whole. Item 15. Appointment of section 355 committees. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Nash, seconded by Councillor Jones. Item 15, we're out? Yep. So everybody's had a look down those 355 committees. So we're going to endorse those. So does anybody wish to speak against that? Any discussion at all? Everybody's happy? All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 16 is the planning proposal to rezone lot 3 DP 549987 1093 Mitchell Highway, Orange. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Oldham, seconded by Councillor Batten. Any discussion on that at all? No? Straightforward? All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 17 is integrated planning reporting operational half-yearly report 2021-22. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Batten, seconded by Councillor O'Ryan. Any discussion on that at all? Councillor Batten.
Just a quick question in relation to the operational plan, in relation to the budget. The two are obviously part of integrated planning and reporting. So the impact of some of the things that aren't here is clearly reflected in the budget review. That's a further item. So the carry forward, how much of that is going to be carried forward, and are we likely to get, weather permitting, the carry forwards done in the next financial year?
Through you, Mr Mayor, I believe you might be referring to, there's a later report about a number of projects that are being carried forward that aren't able to be delivered.
Yep.
So the operational plan quite often doesn't talk about distinctive capital projects at its current point, so it should be read in conjunction with, but it's not necessarily explicitly pointing to certain roads or things that are going to now carry through to our next year's delivery program. So the report later will articulates those key capital projects. There might be some forecasting the operational plan, but that probably won't come out as explicit as, you know, that objective in the operational plan is not going to be met this year. It's more of basically a strategic outcome that we're looking for in the operational plan quite often. Does that answer your question, Councillor?
It does.
All right, no further discussion on that. I will put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 18 is Regional Development Australia's Central West 10 for 10 Leadership Dialogue. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Weaver, seconded by Councillor Nash. A very good project this. We saw the result of that with our youth ambassador. Any discussion on that at all? No? I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 19 is the quarterly budget review. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Rawson, seconded by Councillor Batten. Any discussion on that at all? Councillor Rawson.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Look, I've only really just got a quick comment. The photograph that's used there at the quarterly budget review is of Borinor Caves, inside Borinor Caves. It's my understanding that Borinor Caves is a acknowledged women's business site for the Wiradjuri people, and therefore photography within the caves may be restricted. I'd just like to get clarification of that, and also potentially that we should be taking note of the fact that sometimes the photography of these sites is sensitive, and that we, in council documents shouldn't have these sites identified in photography. Just a clarification of that for the future, that's all. I mean, there may well be a permission has already been sought, and that this photography could be used. And therefore it's okay, it's not a problem, not an issue, but I'm looking across at the acknowledgement of country across there, across the other side of the room, and I'd like us to actually take note of that in our actions rather than just in reading out the words. That's okay. Just a comment.
Yeah, so is that a question?
Sorry,
Is
not
there-
a
is there a
question.
question?
No, sorry, it's just really just a comment and a request to ensure that any of the photography that's used of these sensitive sites is sensitive to the views of the local Wiradjuri people. Because this is acknowledged women's business site, and generally we should be aware of that and be sensitive to that.
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor, we'll investigate whether the source of this photograph is from a private stock of council, whether it's some tourism photos that are in existence, and all I can say is that certainly there'll be no deliberate disrespect paid to our
I fully
Indigenous
understand that.
custodians, but if inadvertently we have breached some culturally sensitive matter, we'll address that, but I'm at this stage unclear where the photo stock is taken from. Quite often we use iconic portions of our landscape to represent council's documentation, but if it certainly causes some issues, we can either have it removed or clarified.
Thank you.
Okay, any further discussion on that?
Can I just clarify one thing, the actual wording of the motion, Mr. Mayor? Are those variances to be included in this financial year, 21-22, as it's stated there, or 22-23 budget?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, they relate to the quarterly budget review of the current budget.
Okay. So we're including them in this year, as it says in the motion, correctly?
That's correct.
Yeah, spot on.
Because we're retrospectively looking at the quarter that relates up into December, 31st of December. So it's a retrospective analysis of where the finances end up for that quarter.
Any further discussion on that at all? No? All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 20 is request for donation. Could I have somebody move that, please? Moved by Councillor Nash, seconded by Councillor Rawson. Anybody wish to speak against that? Nope. Question, yeah?
At the bottom of that, should council wish to make a donation, there remains $470. Is that at any other time that we wish to make a donation or not?
So through you, Mr. Mayor, that refers to a general comment about other donations that may come through, that the actual budget for donations that are in the sections 356 vote has $470 remaining. So it's just to advise council of how much remains in that vote if a future donation request comes in from another source.
Not specifically. No.
Not specific to this source, no.
Thank you.
No further questions? I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. 22, very important item. Item 22, the Manildra Town Master Plan. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Nash, second by Councillor Weaver. Anybody wish to speak against that? Took a long time to get. All right, no questions. I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 23 is the Events Assistance Program. Councillor Paul has declared an interest and will leave the room. So item you got the wrong number there. That's what I just looked there. Well, I thought, what's there? 24. You wrote 23. All right, yeah, we just had the wrong number on there, Councillor Paul. You're going on the Cumlock show. So, item 23 is the Events Assistance Program. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Oldham, seconded by Councillor Weaver. Now, there is, maybe this has already been dealt with through the Merrill Fund, this $1,000 for this particular show. So we can so so Councillor Weaver was the mover, was it? Who moved that? Oh, Councillor Oldham, Councillor Weaver was the second. So the recommendation, we're just going to change that the council approves this under the Community Facilitation Fund instead of the Events Assistance Program, which is the Mayoral Fund. All right, so are you happy with that? So we just amend that recommendation. Any discussion on that at all? Everybody's happy with that? Yep. All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. So item 24 is now the declared interest from Councillor Batten and Councillor Poole. Well, we might split it so that you don't both have to go, so we'll deal with the first one, your conflict, councillor Poole, so you can leave the room. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by councillor Nash, second by councillor Weaver. So we'll deal with that first one, being the Canowindra challenge. Does anybody wish to speak against it? No? All right. I will put that now with the people in here now, so everybody's can vote on that. It's in here. So all those in favour? Aye. Against? That's carried. So we'll deal with item 2 now of that, which councillor Bapt's declared interest and is leaving the room. Councillor Poole, we split them and dealt with the item 1 of that particular item, which was the Canowindra International Balloon Challenge, so it was passed as per the recommendation. So we're now dealing with number 2, being the Mile Long Village Markets. Does anybody wish to speak against that? No? Any questions at all? No? All right, well, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Thanks, Phil. Councillor Batten, that was passed as per the recommendation. Item 25 is the 2021-22 Capital Works Program forecast completion. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by councillor Rawson, second by councillor Nash. Any questions or no discussion? Councillor Weaver.
I haven't got any questions, but I just think, isn't it great to see a list like that? And hopefully we'll see it through to fruition.
Well said. Yep. All right, nothing further. I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 26 is the regional road transfer and classification. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by councillor Ryan, second by councillor Weaver. Anybody wish to speak against that? Did you? You did, sorry, my fault, I didn't see that there. Sorry. We'll suspend that and we'll put it back in with the rest of it. My mistake, sorry. Item 27 is questions for next meeting. Mover, please. Moved by councillor Oldham, seconded by councillor Jones. Does anybody have any questions for next meeting? Nothing at this stage? All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 28 is business paper items for noting. Have a mover, please. Moved by councillor Oldham, second by councillor Poole. Does anybody wish to call out any of those items there for noting at all? No? All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 29 is matters of urgency. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by councillor Weaver, seconded by councillor Rawson. Does anybody have anything of urgency? Nope. I'll put that. All those in favour? Against, that's carried. Item 30 is Committee of the Whole section of the meeting. Could I have somebody move that we move into Committee of the Whole, please? Moved by Councillor Rawson, second by Councillor Jones. All those in favour? Against, that's carried. So we'll just go down in order. So item 8 was called by Councillor Batten. Mhm. So I need a mover and a seconder. Yep. So moved by Councillor Batten, seconded by Councillor Rawson. All right. There is a change to a date.
Through you, Mr Mayor, just for councillors to be aware, the actual date of the Infrastructure Other Committee would be the 8th of March. And then the Community and Economy one will move to the April date, just because we would have had a clash.
Everybody all right with that? Councillor Webb.
Have we worked out who's on which committee yet or not? Not yet.
All right, so I suppose best way is to ask who wants to go on which group, A or B?
Well, excuse me, was there a format from our replies to Robin? Is there a starting format?
Through you, Mr Mayor, we asked for an expression of interest, so we got an indication of, so essentially we can facilitate that approach if council's willing to go with that way. I suppose just for the record, it'd be good to know who nominates for which spot. I might as well forecast it now. There is actually a slight weighting towards one pool than the other, which I've talked to the Mayor about, and it's happy to facilitate it to have five and 3 at this point, plus the Mayor. So that can still work in the committee construct. So we think it's better to have the councillors that are on the areas that they choose to be, rather than sort of dragging anyone kicking and screaming into an area they haven't nominated. But it'll work fine, because the Mayor obviously acts as an extra, if you like, as well. So it's always was going to be a little bit 5-4. So the way it's the expression of interest, but by way of, I suppose, recording appropriately, we get just to indicate which committee you want to be on, and we can frame it up.
So, yeah.
Through you, Mr Mayor, I'm quite happy if there's too many in the one that I've nominated, I'll be quite happy to go in the other. It doesn't really matter.
No, there's not.
The other way round, Councillor.
You're not jumping ship from there. All right, I suppose we just want to show our hands on who's, and they will record them. Yeah. Who would like to go on panel A? No, stay with you, later. Got that show of hands, yeah. In panel B. So done. Easy. Yeah, Councillor Rawson.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. There was, in the structure, I noted that CTW was mentioned as part of infrastructure other, which is panel A. Don't have a problem with me being in panel B rather than...
Yeah, through you, Mr Mayor, obviously Councillor Nash is also on the committee, so it's matters of water, but obviously, as we've said all along, councillors who are interested in the business paper of the other committee are able to go. It's just not a voting member, or so. But yeah, it does fit appropriately under water infrastructure in a lot of ways. But that's obviously not for this committee per se. And there's not a direct, I suppose, a subordination or a permission-seeking line from those. It's just to indicate where, in essence, those portfolios roughly line up. So it's not exclusive in any way. Does that make sense?
Thank you.
Any further discussion or questions? All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against, that's carried. Item 13. Is delegates to other organisations, community peak organisations. Moved by Councillor Batten. I need a seconder. Councillor Orion. So I think we'll just move down through those and call for a nomination and then delegate to that and alternate as well. So for Manildra, the Mardia group, Councillor Nash, I would suggest, would you like, and just made an alternate for that. Councillor Oldham, thank you. Everybody happy with that? Cumnock Progress Association. Councillor Batten is nominating, and we need an alternate. Councillor Nash? Yep. Everybody happy with that? Yep. Yeovil. Councillor Batten and Councillor Nash, alternate. Thank you. Everybody okay with that? Lowell to Mag. Councillor Jones? Yep, an alternate. Councillor Oldham, thank you. Everybody all right with that? Mullion Creek. You happy with that? Yep. And an alternate? Happy with that? Right. Councillor Poole, everybody okay with that? Cargo? Councillor Nash? Councillor Nash? Yeah. An alternate? Spit. We need an alternate. So we've got Councillor Nash nominated, and we just need an alternate. So, yeah, yep. Happy with that?
Yes.
Yep. All right. Koga, Sagoa, Boranor. Yep. Councillor Rawson and an alternate. Councillor Holden. Canoundra. Councillor Poole, alternate. Councillor Orion, thank you. Everybody's happy with that? Yagara. Councillor Jones. And Councillor Weaver. Yep. Everybody's happy there? Kidal. Councillor Jones. Yeah. Everybody happy with that? Councillor Poole was alternate? Yep. And Nashdale. Who would like to go the nominated one or the alternate? Helpful. We'll have to go to a vote. We've got to have a vote then. Sure. Got it. No worries. All right, Councillor Oldham nominated and Councillor Rawson alternate. That's all of them covered. Haven't jumped any. Nope. All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? Item 14 is delegates to other organisations for the term of council. Councillor Batten was the mover and the seconder. Councillor Rawson, item 14. Now, the only thing is that number 11, being the Daru Business Awards, is not a council committee. So that number 11 is removed. So you're happy with that, Councillor Batten? Yep. All right. So we need, I'll just go down the list. So Arts Out West, we need one councillor for Arts Out West. Councillor Oldham, everybody happy with that? Yeah. Associations of mining and energy related councils. We need one for that, one councillor, and an alternate can be appointed as well. Don't fight over it. Councillor Ross. We've got an alternate, we need a nominee. We need a nominee. Got the alternate covered? Oh, did you? Oh, so there was a crossover. Yeah, right. Yeah, I was nominated. Oh, so you nominated Councillor Batten? Yes. Right. Okay. Are you happy with that, Councillor Batten? Yep. All right, very good. Cabron and Orange Road Safety Committee. No, it was Councillor Trevor's last term. Councillor Jones? With an alternate? Oh, I'll give you an alternate if you want. Or if anybody else is happy to, yeah. You happy, Councillor Weaver, to go alternate? Yeah. Done? No. Have to do. Canobolas Bushfire Management Committee.
Can I just make a comment on this one, Mr Mayor?
Yeah.
In number 5 of the zone. Canobolas Bushfire Management Committee, the best way for this to actually, our representation, in fact, the Deputy General Manager Infrastructure, who attends that, I think, on a regular basis, meets at 2:30 in the afternoon, a couple of hours. It's fairly operational, and it's important that he's on it, I think, because if there's a bushfire, and Canobolas being Cabron being the largest of the 4 councils in it, it's important that he's in there and in a position to be able to make decisions about where our plant and equipment gets involved. The Zone Liaison Committee, I've been attending that, and subject to your approval, I would continue on it because I was nominated and accepted the chairmanship of that at the last meeting last week on rotation from other councils.
Very good. So the Deputy General Manager's got that covered, number 4. And I would suggest that we should nominate you as the liaison officer, Councillor Batten.
Happy to accept that. We actually changed the time from a night time to a 5:30 meeting, and we shortened the actual meeting.
And we need an alternate for that. Yep, Councillor Rawson. Everybody happy with that? The Canoundra Food Basket Advisory Group. I'm council delegate for that. Councillor O'Ryan, yeah. Everybody happy with that? We don't need an alternate for that one. 7 is the Canoundra Retirement Village Project Working Committee. Councillor Weaver, yeah. We need an alternate, yes. One other alternate, yeah, Councillor Nash. Anybody else? Everybody happy with that? Yep. Central New South Wales Business HQ, is the General Manager. Central West Libraries, need one, and a deli, and an alternate. Which way do you want to go there? Yep, so Councillor Oldham and Councillor Nash as alternate. Community Safety Precinct Committee. That's me. I got that one covered. Yep. You happy with that, Councillor Lee? Yeah. Dara Awards, we're jumping that. Orange 360, I represent that, but I need an alternate.
I would actually be being an alternative too. Happy to go all day.
Alright, you do it if you're passionate.
Yeah. I'm happy to go all day.
No, it's not. It's orange 360.
I'll be big all day.
So we got Councillor Poole. Did you vote? Did you nominate too, Councillor Oldham? Yep. And are you going to still throw your hat in the ring, Councillor? Am I right? So we're going to go to a vote. Did we get the ballot papers out? What do you want to do, by hand or ballot paper?
I'm happy to go start meetings. Everyone looks that way when we vote anyway, so if you say that, you vote.
No, I'm happy to go. I'm just going to say, who votes for this one? Who votes for that one? Say that again. Say that again. I'm just getting the voting process here. Yeah. So you can't obviously vote twice. So we'll go who votes, and there's only one vote. So who votes for Councillor O'Ryan? 3.
Am I allowed to vote for myself?
Yes. So what's that? How many is that? Hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's it. You don't have to do any more votes. That's unanimous.
Congratulations, Catherine.
Democracy at its best.
And what are you doing at 8:30 in the morning? Probably should explain that, probably, shouldn't I? Well, we might have to retract that. It's a committee meeting once a month. You don't have to go every month as the alternate, but if I'm not available, you have to go.
Okay, are you not available?
No, I'm going tomorrow.
Okay, because I'm happy to bring stuff, all this stuff. I've got the stuff.
But it's every Wednesday at 8:30 after our meeting, our committee, our ordinary council meeting
And we're here
in Orange.
in Orange at 8:30 on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yep.
It is only a quick meeting.
You've gone an hour, so you can plan. They're out of there by 9:30. Okay. 13 is the Ophir Reserve Trust Board. Councillor Wilson, you happy with that? Do you have an alternate? No. The traffic committee. Councillor Weir, you happy with that?
Can I explain that, please? Just because, you know, with the roads conferences that happen and things like that, I wasn't sure whether that fits nicely with them. Sorry.
It's quite right, Deputy, through this, the Mayor obviously can go to any committee, he's got that sovereign capacity, so this is, obviously he would have first call on those things, and then that's the secondary delegate would go. But as in the road, the actual traffic committee, which is the police meeting with Transport for New South Wales, which Matt offers supports, that's predominantly is a councillor goes to that, and the Mayor may go on occasion. So I thank you for your nomination, but we might send Councillor Weaver.
But it says there in one alternate delegate too, that you,
No, somebody else. So Councillor Weaver's nominated, so, and Councillor Nash, you wish to go? Yeah, be the alternate, I should say. All right, we didn't jump any, I think we got them all.
Do we hear from these committees when they meet, or will we sort of get timetables?
Through you, Mr Mayor, we'll arrange for you, Robin will usually let you know when that cycle. Once you get into a cycle, the externals, obviously you probably mark your calendars, but we do our best if we get information about it's not so much the set meetings when there's something extraordinary or something on, so we'll endeavour to let you know, but it's usually good if everyone assumes they've got to find out, as well as us finding out, if you know what I mean. So.
And the next question is, sorry, because obviously I don't know this stuff, so it's either the nominated person or the delegate, or can both go?
No, both can go, but you just get the one vote. So you come along with me to Orange 360, we only get one vote. Yeah. And it's the same with other committees too. All right, thank you everybody for putting your hands up for being different delegates on progress associations and these other committees. I know that we've reduced councillors back down to 9, so that the load is a little bit heavier. So thank you very much everybody for being keen to nominate. I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. We now go to item 21, which is called by Councillor Weaver. So you'll move that, Councillor Weaver? And I'll need a seconder. Councillor Nash seconded. Councillor Batten declared interest and is leaving the room. Thank you. I'll hand it to you, Councillor Weaver. You wish to speak about this?
As far as the mole, that, now I think it's too crazy.
Yep. All right, we'll separate them. Do you want to separate them? So we'll just deal with that Marlon Advancement Group. Does anybody else wish to discuss anything on to do with the Marlon Advancement Group application? No? Everybody okay with that? All right. Well, I will put that. All those in favour of that? Against? That's carried. All right. Could you ask Councillor Batten to come back in and we discuss that? We dealt with that item 1 in that Councillor Batten was passed as per the recommendation. So now we'll just talk about and discuss the Canoundra Business and Progress Association application. Councillor Weaver. Wish to speak to that now, Councillor Weaver?
I've just got concerns that. Yes, Mr Mayor. I've just got concerns that they're not giving themselves enough time to get this up and organised, and 6 weeks out, and to me is a lot of seats to fill, and it's an expensive plate, and to draw the people to that, to try and raise that much money, I just don't know whether it's going to work for them. I have grave concerns. I mean, quite personally, I think it's a brilliant idea, and it always has been a great idea to have the 100-mile dinner. It's always worked. But I would like to probably see it postponed till next year, to give them time to get everything organised and in place in a good span of time. I mean, there's some things there in their spreadsheet that I would like to query. I mean, I query their insurances. There's no mention of insurances. There's no mention of the payment to the chef that they're asking to come, and believe me, I don't think celebrity chefs come cheaply. But I mean, if we had probably a little bit more time, I mean, this has been put upon us. I think council received this on the 14th or something of February. That's not a lot of time to come to terms with what they're asking for, and for that amount of money to be spent. I mean, I don't know whether the Progress Association have notified any other organisations in town or let them know that that money was available, or whether it's their way of seeding for the future. So I think there's just a few questions there that I feel a bit uneasy about. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Yeah, thank you. I guess to place comment on what you said, I can understand your concerns. But I guess as a committee, they formed the opinion that they have got enough time and they can do it, I suppose. That's my only comment to you. And we are approving them taking $19,000 out of the funds that they were given as the Progress Association. I think that's what we're looking at as per the recommendation. So, but I understand your concerns. And, yeah. Any other discussion? Councillor Wilson.
Can I ask a question, Mr Mayor? Just the timing of the expenditure of those funds. There's the 21,000 available. Is that until the end of this financial year? So they've got between now and the end of this financial year.
True, Mr Mayor. Yeah, it works on our budget cycle.
Mm-hmm. So, and it hasn't been expended as yet. So there's still 21,000 sitting in that account to be spent by the end of June. And this is to be expended by sometime in April, is that right? Yeah. So what would happen, sorry, another question, what would happen to the funds if they're not expended by that time?
As per the policy, there is an ability to roll that money over and to be stored till next year for a period of no longer than the delivery program. So it is a new fund, so we're testing how long. We don't want the communities holding on to it for forever, but equally they can store it up for 2 years, for example, for a project that's bigger, as long as they keep council informed, and generally within the delivery program, which is now we're moving into, that the funding will be voted by council for the Village Enhancement Fund for the term of that council, if you give me. So it'll be reviewed, the actual fund, as part of our, as we're going through now. So it's put in our next year's, in our delivery program, the Village Enhancement Fund, that'll run for the period of this council. Does that make sense?
Thank you.
Any other discussion?
Does council, do we have the option of saying, and this actually is hypothetical, so you want, there's 19,000 to be spent, we actually will approve 10, so there's more money left over? Or that's not a question that we can address?
Well, I'll probably hand over to the general manager, but I would suggest here that they're asking for $19,000 because they need 19,000 to run the event. So, as if we said you can only have 10,000, does that squash their event so they can't do the event? I don't know.
Through you, Mr Mayor, looks, it's, a council can by resolution do what it likes, so to speak, but there is a policy, it fits the parameters of the policy, it's within the amounts stipulated for that committee. But obviously it's still subject to the approval of council, so council may do that, but as the mayor's indicated, they've indicated that's what they need to make the event work, so I suppose that's it, but it is ultimately a decision for council. Just to clarify, Mr Mayor, the payment is made after the event, not prior, just so. So the acquittal has to happen and then the payment's made.
Does that make it?
Okay, sorry, another quick question in response to that. If we agree to it now, are we obliged to provide that money after the event? What if they it goes belly up, or in fact they get way more money than they expected? Are we still obliged to provide that money?
Through you, Mr Mayor, yes. So worst case scenario, belly up is what you termed it. So if an event was still running, the acquittal is about the expenditure. So they obviously, events may not make a profit, but as long as the expenditure's in line what the request was, whether the event is deemed a failure or not, generally there's a creditor that's got to be paid. So that's council then pays it, but we don't pay in advance. We pay it on receipt of the goods have been supplied and or services or whatever, and then council then acquits it. Does that make sense? But equally, if there is a resounding success, they could turn around and request that not to receive that money and then that to stay in their allocation potentially. But it's a bit of a shell game either way. The money's going to be available to them either whether it's in their books or whether it's in council's books, so to speak, because it's allocated to the Progress Association.
That's the full 21,000, but I'm talking about this 19,000 we're about to vote on.
That's what I'm suggesting, councillor. If $19,000 was the ask, and then later on, because of profits, they said they don't want the ask, what I'm suggesting to you is that 19,000 goes back into but it's still the Progress Association's ability to have that, so it's just like having two bank accounts to them in a way, except they've got to get approval, that's the difference. So it'll be up to council whether it exceeds to that request, but that could happen, but that's the process. It's not different to a grant in that respect. We wait till the acquittal process.
I guess, okay, yeah, Councillor Nash.
Yeah, I'd just like to say that, we all thought it was a lot of money, but if the Canoundra guys can pull it off, well, good luck to them.
Councillor Paul.
Yeah, I understand there's some concerns, but I think we're underestimating maybe they've got the skill set to pull it off in 6 weeks. And we're not event managers. I've got some qualifications in event management too. I could pull it off. I have no doubt I could if I could I could be organised for it, get the 300 people there, but maybe these guys have got the skill set to do it. And if our allocation is to support that group, well, I think we should be supporting that group and see how they go with their qualifications, whether they can pull it off. It's not us. It's not up to us to question their skill set, I don't think.
Thanks. Thank you. Yeah, I guess just in summing up, I would say this to you all, that the policy was set up to give each of these progress associations a bank of money, and in the Canoundra's case, 22,000. I just think, and I just want to throw this out there for perhaps any more discussion, if you like, that if we set this policy up and system where we're going to give these progress associations this money, we have this application before us now saying that we want to use this money to do this, and we turn around and say, well, we're not going to give you that. So we're going back on, we're trying to help them along and get them promoting their towns and their villages, and to have one of the first ones come to us and we say, well, no, we're not going to give you that money because we're a bit concerned. I think that's a little bit awkward. And I take on board everybody's concerns about the time frames and whether tickets can be sold, but I guess we probably have to let them try and hopefully they succeed. And as you said, there's lots of things that may not let us just get off the ground anyway, such as insurances and so on, so that's all got to be looked at and it's all got to be done right, and there might be some other issues yet too, so for them to proceed on. But I think for us to say, well, we're not happy and we're not going to give you the money, I think it's a bit of a backflip on what we're trying to do. Gives the money to these associations to get them going. Yeah. Councillor Webb.
Mr Mayor, I'm not opposed
Yeah.
as such
Yeah.
to the proposal, and I support what they're trying to achieve. I mean, I've supported the 100-mile dinner in the past. What I would hate to see is them fail,
Yeah,
and
totally.
you know, and the backlash probably from the community that they would get. And they're the things that concern me. I mean, they're things that hurt people in community committees. You know, you ask people to be a part of a community committee, and if they get trampled on, they won't support anything in the town again. So, you know, I mean, I've seen it happen over the past 30 years, time and time again. I mean, if this goes through, I wish them luck. I really do wish them luck. But I just wish they'd have taken a little bit more time and a little bit more talking to the community, and well, even talking to the 3 councillors that are here from Canoundra. I mean, I didn't know too much about it until I read this report. So, you know, communication is a huge thing in a committee, and without that communication, you lose the backing of people. And, you know, in small communities, the volunteers and the people on committees are the backbone and the supporters of. And I'd hate to see them disappointed. I won't say fail, but, you know, not attain their potential in this organisation. So I wish them luck if this goes through, and I certainly hope that the weather holds up and everything else holds up. But yeah, it's more concern as far as I'm concerned. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Oh, put it, as stands, the recommendation is for the 19,000 to Canoundra. So all those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 26, which we got going a bit earlier, called by Councillor Weaver, so she'll be moving that, which is the regional road transfer classification, moved by Councillor Weaver, seconded by councillor Poole. Councillor Weaver.
Yes, Mr Mayor. My just query, it's not a problem with it, but is the Bellabula Way. And I have to point out at this time I do live on Bellabula Way. But I would just like to know if we've had a counter on that road at all. And I just wonder if we could liaise with Cara Council, because they're the majority road owner from sort of Cherry Tree right through to Mandurama. That road is so busy. We've got east to west, west to east trucks, and a lot of them are double trucks, you know, with a trailer, carting cattle, sheep, and if not corn, to the pet factory at Blaney, and the car, what do they call them? The Carcore, sale works there. Yeah, there's quarry, there's all sorts, but the truck movement on that road is incredible. Plus then, it's a major road to, as far as I'm concerned, to travellers, to caravan, the number of caravans that come up and down that road is incredible. And I just wonder if there's any way that we could look at upgrading. The road to Mandurama is very basic, yeah, a lot of improvement could be made, hopefully. I know we're looking at 4.2 kilometres, but I would imagine that's from Rod Street out to Cherry Tree pretty well. So, yeah, if there's any way of liaising with Cara and work together to improve that road structure, I think it would be a great improvement. Thank you.
If I may, through you, Mr Mayor. This is the second round of the road reclassification process. The first round did have a conversation with Blaney Shire Council and Cowra Shire Council with regards to Bellabula Way. As council may be aware, both Blaney and Cabon have the smallest sections of the Bellabula Way, but happy to support any application that came through from Cowra or Blaney, subject to a council resolution in the future round. But at this stage, there's been no formal request from either council to put that one forward. But I'm happy to reach out to my counterparts and see what we can get moving for a future round of the reclassification process.
I just think that I just think with that road and the amount of heavy traffic, trucks, big trucks, semi-trailers, and so forth, that the road's not built for that, you know, and it just needs more structure in it to, because I mean, Matthew would know the number of potholes and everything that are created because of the trucks in that area. So, thank you, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Batten.
Yeah, 3 years, Mayor. A question of the Deputy General Manager. 2 other roads, we heard the discussion the other night at Yarra about Casuarina Drive. What's its current classification, and if it's not a regional road now, should we be considering that given the development that's happening in that vicinity of that road with the dairies and other activities that are going on? The second one is Gumble Road, currently a local road, but with increased truck movements on it. We did the northern end, as you know, to B-double standard, I think 2-3 years ago. The southern end really needs an upgrade, but the increased truck movements now with Manildra Mill leasing the grain storage at Cumnock, so the truck movements to the mill at Manildra. Should we be considering those 2 roads either in this current round or a future round?
Yeah, I'll just put forward, the GM and I are going to be meeting with Alistair Lund quite regularly in regards to those, and that one you referred to, Casuarina, is on the top of the list, we're speaking about that one. That's the answer to that one.
Through you, Mr Mayor, following those conversations at Eugowra with regards to Casuarina Drive, I can confirm it is a local road, which is council's responsibility and council to fund. With Casuarina, from Goolagong to Eugowra, there is a regional road route that in existence, which is the Warragary Way to Narang, and then from Narang along Nangar. So a regional road does already connect those two points of interest, which it comes in the consideration of reclassification that there's already a regional route in existence there. That's not to say that we can't push for further funding and so on, but as for the guidelines for the transfer, that has to come into consideration of the success of it or not. With regards to Gumble Road, that hasn't been considered, but I'm happy if council wishes to pursue that, to undertake an assessment on that and with the possibility of putting it forward. Through you, Mr Mayor, if that were to be the case, I would need a council resolution to be amended to include that.
It's a matter of, I guess it's a matter of timing, isn't it? Is there sufficient time to include it in this submission? Because I'm happy to move that as an amendment. Or do you really want more time to actually do that assessment and come back for a future round?
Through you, Mr Mayor, I'm happy to pursue it over time and go for the next round of classification process.
Yeah. I think that's probably a more sensible approach, isn't it, than rushing on this one. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Nash.
I was just wondering, the Cargo Road, that's Orange to Canoundra. Is that Orange to Cargo as well? Or? It is.
Through you, Mr Mayor, I can confirm that it does go from Orange to Canoundra Road, which is, yes, Canoundra. And it goes through Cargo.
Councillor Wilson.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I would just like to support Councillor Weaver's suggestions about the Lopula Way. I was driving down there the other day, and it definitely, there's a lot of traffic and it does need some serious upgrades. But I'd like to also talk about Cargo Road, and I declare I also live on Cargo Road. But it is getting increasing traffic in the last few years, particularly out to Nashdale and beyond. I recognise that it's a regional road already, and that I also recognise under the criteria it probably doesn't quite meet the standard to move up to state road level. However, it's somewhere between the two, in that it is a very well-used regional road between Orange and Canoundra. It's the primary road between Orange and Canoundra now, and it also has the difficulty of travelling through some very steep terrain with particular geology and soils and landscapes which promote the destruction of the road surface, and certainly a climate that does the same. I'm just wondering what avenues we have to be able to secure better funding for the repair of that road and the rework on that road. There's a number of locations along that road which have been in poor condition for many, many, many years. I would just like to really ask the question, is there a way in which we can somehow upgrade the priority for that road, rather than going down the route of converting it across to being a state road?
Just to clarify there, do you want that as a question for next meeting?
Yes, we could. Yeah. Yes.
I'll prepare a response for this, Councillor Mayor, just a minute.
Okay, any further discussion on that at all? I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item now is 31, a supplementary item which Councillor Poole requested to be in committee of the whole.
This is the one where I showed.
So, Councillor Poole asked that to be in committee whole, so he'll be the mover. Seconder, please. Seconded by Councillor Nash.
Oh, I should have declared an interest in this, I'm sorry.
Oh, right. Okay.
Probably accurate.
Yeah, you probably have to.
I hope it's accurate.
So, yeah, Councillor Ryan has declared interest and will leave the room. Thank you. So we had Councillor Poole as the mover. I noted a second was Councillor Nash, was it? Yep. Yep. Councillor Poole.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Very briefly, I noticed that Cabon's recommendation is Site A downtown, and I actually probably don't support that. My recommendation is Site B. I know you've stated there's been plenty of community consultation, but I think you'll find you delegated it to the business chamber to put someone on that committee for that proposal, and that is probably where the conversation ended with a lot of the community. And yeah, I've spent the last few days since I became aware of it in the business papers talking to, I suppose, 10 senior people involved in health and a number of people in the community, and I think our better option is option B, which I'd like to put to the councillors. One of the things that keeps coming up, one of the statements is that it's central to everybody in town and that it's within walking distance. It's only within walking distance if you live within 500 metres of the existing, or where it's going to be built. People from Moorbelt, people from South Canowindra, people north of Clybourne Street, they don't walk anyway, so it's no difference to the site. The statement from some of the senior healthcare people I spoke to is that healthcare is changing anyway, that a lot of it's going to be preventative and a lot of home care, which means the site is probably not quite as relevant everywhere, whether it's at the hospital or whether it's downtown anyway. And talking to the doctors in town, it's all about the flow of the workplace as well. A lot of the doctors, they can't be in 3 places at once. And if we're looking at a Health One system that may include doctors in that area, the flow of that workforce at the hospital site where they can go from one to another and slide along is going to work a lot better than being downtown and rushing up to the hospital for an emergency, etc., etc., etc. I'll give you 100 examples. So I'd actually just put it to the councillors that I believe Site B is a better option. And open it up.
Okay, any further discussion? Councillor Rawson.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yes, I guess when I first looked at this, I felt that a site that was attached to the hospital would be a far more appropriate one for medical services. However, one part of this proposal was to have aged care living associated with it, and the Site A, in my mind, appears to be a much better location for that, simply because it is level, easy walking, riding distance. When I say riding, I mean, you know, in little mobility scooter type distance. No horses, no. Into the centre of the town, and also integrated closer to the centre of the town. So I'm wondering really where, I'm sort of opening it out here, whether or not it's possible to sort of split those two functions in some way. Probably not. I mean, I guess this needs to go to the local health district for their opinion as well, and they'll probably provide, you know, a view based on the medical the medical side of that. So I guess we'll get a view from them. As I say, really just to add to the debate, personally, I would have thought that near the hospital was a better location for it, but for aged care, in town would be better.
Thank you. Just to, before you start, I'll talk again with Councillor Pullman, sir. There is a lot of history here with this. There has been extensive community consultation through a professional group that got all key stakeholders involved. It was a full day, a full couple of days, and with a full-on committee. And so it hasn't just been go and ask a few people in Canowindra where it should go. So that definitely didn't take place. This has all been done by consultants, and local health have all been consulted, and this is the result. I mean, Brad can give you a very quick summary of the whole process, but it hasn't just been going grabbing a couple of progress associations and seeing where it goes, or business tracker.
It's-
I'm aware of that.
No, it's through you, Mr. Mayor. So there is some different interest groups involved in the whole process, so that the Western Area Health as a wider group put together the package. This has been also tied in with the Canowindra Aged Living Working Party, who actually have a committee oversighting that use of that land. So that's also played into the decision making, given that the site proposed at Health One also provides for up to 8 units that could be also put in conjunction with this development. There was to's and fro's about the hospital site in what they call a charrette process, which involved, as the Mayor said, peak people in the community, also peak people involved with the localised health and the broader health. There is obviously people from the localised health that would prefer the hospital site. There's some that, as site B, which you're referring to, is actually the allied health centre, which is quite constrained with any sort of growth. The parking's out the front of that site. There's some constraints with that as well. So all the sites were considered. Equally, we met with the committee before this report was put forward. We also put it to the community group at the Canowindra. We've had 30, 40 people from Canowindra at it who also heard. So there are conflicting views, but the recommendation from council is it actually there was two directions in our CSP and approved delivery program, was to provide an augmented medical practice facility in Canowindra, as well as identify and construct some aged-friendly living on that site. So this actually aligns with two high priorities of the Community Strategic Plan for Canowindra. So that's the pretext that we put it to this council, saying this is the preferred site, as in the community strategic planning process for the previous council and this one has also supported this site. So that, with this project and this site also is supported by the design project and council's, I suppose, technical, as well as the committee that also looks to benefit from the aged care living, or aged living, shouldn't say care, aged living.
Councillor Bull. Yeah, I understand Site A has been a plan for over 20 years to build aged units or aged living there, so I can't see the benefit of having now all of a sudden going back from what maybe was 14 or a dozen units, now we're going to have 6, and the medical centre, when two of the people I spoke to are on that committee and on that Zoom meeting on the 27th of October, so I've spoken to them as well. It's certainly fine, we can disagree, but I'm not talking about speaking to Joe Blocks from the business chamber, I'm speaking to the health services managers and people that weren't involved in that discussion. And again, the conversations I've had, even on my way over here this morning, that it was announced as at the Canowindra community meeting, nobody knew about it until you go to the meeting and you go, we're going to build a Health One system at Plan A, and everyone goes, oh. Most of the people walked out of that meeting going, they didn't even know it was on the cards. And I'm not saying, no one disagreed with it, they're happy to see the money spent in Canowindra, but don't assume that because they didn't speak, they're all supportive of it, because you get something like that, again, the ambush, it's wow, how do I find that out? They weren't really aware of that. So my option again is the site up at the hospital. That's how I'll be voting.
So just to clarify, you're advocating the hospital site?
Yep.
Is that correct? Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a decision for council. I agree, the consultation process has always got people who, we don't get their voice at different times and those sorts of things, but this was put together with the actual, I suppose, as you were talking about the medical fraternities' input into the different sites. I suppose this is put up to say council recommends this site, but it's certainly a decision for this council,
Right.
whether it be A, B or C.
And that's what I like about the proposal, is a choice there.
Councillor Weaver.
Mr Mayor, if I could just say something. I've attended meetings in regard to this proposal. They've been going on for quite a while. We've had good attendances at those meetings. I cannot agree with you that people walked away from the meeting the other night unaware of, or went to that meeting unaware of what was happening with the proposed medical centre, and I think they walked out thinking, wow, that's a pretty good proposal, when it was explained to them by the Mayor and General Manager. So I don't know. I mean, I'm involved with the UHA at Canowindra that, you know, raise money for our local hospital. All those ladies and gentlemen that are members of that all knew about it, have been to those meetings. So I don't know where your information's coming from to clarify that.
I don't need to clarify it, and I have no doubt that you've got a problem with what I've got to say, but I didn't say they weren't aware of it after the meeting. I said before they went into that meeting, they did not know that there was going to be, that the money was available, there was going to be a medical centre. They didn't know before that. So I'm the one on all the community groups, and I speak to a lot of people around town, so my opinion and feedback's as important as yours.
Councillor Jones.
Mr Mayor, if I could just ask that all comments be addressed through you, that might just take out any heat from this. It's great that there is a debate, just all comments through the chair, please.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councillor Mash.
I'd just like to say that we've been trying to get something like this for Canowindra since I started 9 years ago, and you know, I'm just thrilled that it's there. And where it goes, I'm quite happy to go with the recommendation, because if it does incorporate aged care and it's in town and they can walk and whatever, that's great. And we know the area, we know the site, and you know, I'm happy to go along with it. Thank you.
Thank you. Or any further discussion? No further discussion? We'll put it, so the council recommendation is that the preferred location for the new Canowindra Medical Centre, the option A. So I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? One against, councillor Paul. You want that recorded, against?
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, that's carried. Now, councillor Ryan.